Hey there everybody, this video will cover a quick review for every truck in the Year 1 Season Pass for Snowrunner, meaning trucks from Phase 1 to 4 working through in release order with labeled chapters so you can easily navigate around, so whether or not you're a newbie player or a veteran trucker, sit back, relax and enjoy. So starting with Phase 1 and the Ford F750, which on initial release was a little underwhelming. However, once you pick up the engine upgrades, this truck really comes to life. It may only have four-wheel drive, but it definitely makes it work. Diff lock is always on, but the all-wheel drive unit is on a toggle. It has a slightly unusual bodywork layout, but it allows for you to become a mobile garage, letting you carry 330 litres of spare fuel, 500 repair parts, and 8 spare tyres, which is really useful. And I do kind of wish that I've had this in my hard mode campaign, but I've not yet been to Lake Coved. The truck handles well, and providing conditions aren't too dire, it will get through muddy ground okay. If you aren't wanting the mobile garage function, then you can use this truck as a loader, as it is one of the very few scouts to have a crane option available. However, do be careful that the truck is very light, so only use the crane when immediately next to cargo and the truck that needs loading, but this can be super useful in a tight rescue spot. Onto the TUS 108 Warthog, and I'm really not a fan of this truck if it wasn't obvious from its dedicated review video. The biggest issue with this truck is the weight balancing, because it's all at the back. In the dedicated review, I demonstrated this by hauling a trailer, and that trailer was hitting the rear of the cabin, causing the front of the truck to be raised off the ground. Here I have just the small tanker installed, and it's the same problem again. You can see the ridiculous levels of understeer this truck endures. It's almost as if the engine is tiny or doesn't weigh very much at all, which wouldn't be that accurate. Both all-wheel drive and diff lock are on a toggle, which isn't always ideal either. You can outfit this truck for a small variety of tasks, however, such as a tanker, van body repairs, trailer hauler, or cargo, but I'm not convinced by its performance. However, you might like it. The TUS 16 Actaeon is a plucky little off-road truck, and it does appear to be similar to the Warthog, but it is much better. The all-wheel drive and diff lock functions are on a toggle, which is a bit of a letdown, but the truck has actual decent weight balancing, so it does well at getting through the mud on its massive tyres. It can run a fuel tanker, repair box, or cargo or sideboard bed, and a long log carrier, and a crane, so it's capable of completing a variety of tasks. Though, like with the Ford F750, be careful with the crane as the vehicle is lightweight, so it is prone to tipping over. I have used this truck for logging contracts, hauling long logs, and it does a surprisingly good job despite its size. In the same manner as the Ford, it is a little bit of a pain to get hold of, requiring some deep diving into Phase 1 and some slow driving. You can haul a trailer from the rear hitch also, though results may vary, but it can be useful for resupply efforts. Now on to Phase 2, where we took the delivery of the Caterpillar 770G, the frontman of Phase 2 and the Tonka truck of Snowrunner. Put into the game for one purpose, which was for hauling the heavy rock trailers which no other truck can move, so you would assume it should be pretty good at doing that job, right? Well, maybe not so much. Diff lock always on, but no all-wheel drive at all, means that this truck will struggle on hills when towing, but it does have a pretty good unique set of mud tyres to help with those tricky spots. Be wary though, as this truck does lack a snorkel, which is a common theme with cat trucks for some reason, excluding the roadworthy ones. As mentioned, this truck's primary focus is the rock trailer hauling, but it can also function as a tanker truck in the same manner as the Cat 745C. However, it is exceptionally square and oddly shaped. It does have a colossal 530 litre fuel tank, paired with a not so terrible fuel consumption rate, which is it's actually pretty good, so it does have function for potential scouting or as a recovery vehicle. I may have been a little too harsh on it on its initial review, but at least it is free. The Caterpillar TH357 telehandler caused a lot of excitement when it was revealed, though there are some definite shortfalls which include no snorkel or the ability to pack cargo on the forks, which makes manual loading of cargo very finicky and potentially stressful. The intent of this truck was to facilitate the placement of cabin cargoes in the cabin areas for certain missions in the Yukon, because the loading bays had a roof, denying cranes with easy access. And this caused all sorts of desync issues, especially for cooperative play, so that's super fun. On the upside, you do have all-wheel drive and diff lock always on for maximum performance, and it can move at a decent pace, so potentially it can function as a semi-decent scout, as long as you're scouting dry areas. If you like to drive in first person though, do not do it in this truck as there is no suspension, as you'll just have a very, very bumpy ride. Onto the KRS-58 Bandit now, which is a truck made of random parts stuck together. The modified cabin of a bus, an 8-wheel drive chassis, and a gearbox system, and an overpowered engine makes for a hilarious accident-prone truck with just a 150-litre fuel tank, which may appear limiting, but you do have another 140 litres of spare fuel on the roof if you take that add-on, along with repair points and a spare tyre. The biggest benefit of this truck is that it has the balloon tyres, and you couple this with a high-range gearbox, enabling ridiculous speeds, but this can come at the price of fuel. Though it is able to equip pretty much any add-on you would require, though I would avoid crane operations unless absolutely necessary, as this thing will fall over regardless of whether or not you enable the outriggers, which of course don't actually do anything. I personally use this truck with the van body add-on for field repairs in hard mode, and it has been clutched many times like a rapid recovery unit. Phase 3 took us logging using first the gigantic bore 45318. The size of this truck is absolutely absurd. I mean, look at the air filter on the right side of the engine. I could probably fit inside it. Everything seems to be turned up to 11 for this truck, even the visual add-ons, which look like they've just been enlarged and stretched. Able to run several add-ons from the Vibrasize unit or a high saddle or a van body repair unit makes it viable for a lot of different roles. This truck is rapid, but for heavy hauling, you'll have to be microing in and out of the all-wheel drive and diff lock, as they are both on a toggle, meaning fuel consumption can get fairly high. No mud tyre options to select from, but it does have OHD tyres, which are still pretty solid. A big downside is the cost. This truck cannot be found in any maps so far, and the truck costs $180,000 to buy, which is pretty ridiculous, especially as you can get more capable trucks for a lot less money. Give it a go at your own risk, but don't expect miracles. The International Paystar 5600 TS is the thirst master that can rival the consumption of the Western Star 6900 TS, except with a smaller fuel tank. All-wheel drive and diff lock are both on a toggle, and I implore you to use the all-wheel drive only when absolutely necessary, as you can easily exceed over 30 litres a minute for fuel consumption. However, this truck is capable of so many different tasks and has been a linchpin force in my hard mode campaign. Not that I would recommend it if you weren't playing by my rule set. I only use it as I cannot buy any other trucks. When all-wheel drive is active, you will have 10-wheel drive, which is great for hauling logs or using that triple slot cargo bed and towing a trailer, allowing you to move up to 7 cargo slots at once, and have a loading crane too. Can opt for a weaker engine to save on the fuel consumption, but you'll then start to struggle more with heavier cargo. This is a free truck that you can immediately get hold of, fully intact, but it's worth a try, but watch out for the fuel gauge. Logging Genesis now with the Pacific P512PF, another easy to obtain truck from Phase 3. This truck is a little unique in that, like the P16, it has those unique tyres allowing for the best performance in mud at the cost of no all-wheel drive and diff lock on a toggle. A variety of add-ons are available for this truck, but it does look best when logging. It is fast and powerful, although do be aware on uneven tracks, as you will roll and pitch and pivot in every single way imaginable. A big issue though is the fuel tank, which is a measly 200 litres, which if you're on roads is completely fine, but if you're off-roading you'll be consuming in excess of 10 litres per minute, greatly reducing your driving time. I don't personally use this truck very often, but do take it out for a drive yourself, as it is capable. To Phase 4, which added the lovely sights of Amore and the Cairn Sentinel, which is a bit like an upgraded Chevy CK1500. Although it is a slight pain to get hold of in Erskine River, this pickup truck does not perform well on roads at all, but once it's off-road, it is okay, as long as things aren't too muddy. It can have decent power and ground clearance, making it capable of assisting trucks in the field with its spare fuel, tyres and repair parts on the roof and in the rear bed. But you aren't missing out on anything special really if you don't go out of your way to obtain the truck. Fuel consumption is okay, but it does decline when you enable the all-wheel drive, and you can tow a scout trailer with the Sentinel, though it comes with the usual scout trailer tropes of just being awkward and stuck all the time. Definitely a take it or leave it, no big deal kind of truck. And then finally, onto the king of SnowRunner, the Zix 605R. This is an 8-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, diff-lock, always-on beast from the east. It can run any add-on except low saddle and the Vibrasize module and the metal detector. It is not so great on icy roads and only has one set of tyres available, but they're good tyres. If you are going to use the saddle, then make sure to equip the spare wheel, which also holds additional spare fuel. A 380 litre fuel tank with 200 in reserve at least goes for days and stops for no terrain, so what more could you want? This beast may be a pain to get hold of initially in a moor, but it is definitely worth it. An excellent recovery vehicle, heavy hauler, trailer tower, unmatched mammoth. For recovery operations, this is pretty much unmatched due to its sheer bulk, and on screen you can see where I've used it for rescue. If you want to see its full capabilities, then watch the video linked in the top right. So that wraps things up for Phase 1 to 4 vehicles. If you did miss it, click on this video to see quick reviews for every truck in the base game for SnowRunner, and have a great day.